LDAP server. LDAP means lightweight directory access protocol. It is a protocol, and in short, it is LDAP. Now this is what it is: an industry standard, lightweight, widely used set of protocols for accessing directory services. A directory service is a shared information infrastructure for accessing, managing, organizing, and updating everyday items and network resources such as users, groups, devices, email addresses, telephone numbers, volumes, and many other objects. The LDAP information model is based on entries. An entry in LDAP directory represents a single unit for information and is uniquely identified by what is called a distinguished name. A distinguished name, and each of the entry attributes has a type and one or more values. So attributes, it is a unique identity. It is also called distinguished name, and also many other attributes. And attributes is a piece of information associated with an entry, and the types are typically mnemonic strings such as CN for common name or mail for mail address, and each attribute is assigned one or more values consisting in a space separated list. Space separated list, that means in between two values we have a space. The following is an illustration of the information is arranged in the LDAP directory. This is like a arrangement of the information. This is suppose the UID babs, like suppose this is the object. Now it is how it is arranged. So the object babs, which is uniquely identified by the UID, and it will be under the OU, and OU name could be people, and that OU will be under the domain. That means, like for example, DC is equal to example, and that DC is under the com or net or DE, whatever. That means the domain name is example.com, so it is under this. We can have many other OUs like people, user, servers, and all that. Now if you remember, this kind of thing you have seen already in Active Directory, Windows Active Directory. In Windows Active Directory also we have a structure like this, because the Windows Active Directory is also designed on this LDAP protocol, and it uses the same format of arrangement for the object. Like we have UIDs, we have OUs, we have domains, we have domain controllers, and also it is also Active Directory is also a directory service which stores all the information about the objects in a LDAP structure. So this is actually protocol we use to create the directory services where we can store the information in this structured wise. Now we can create. Now remember, this LDAP is the standard, is industry standard protocol. So it is not a proprietary for Windows. So we can configure this in our Linux system also. Why we need this? In some time, suppose we have some application and we want to install it on the Linux system, and suppose that application wants the directory structure like the Active Directory. Otherwise, we can use NIS for user authentication. We have also many other authentication services to use. So we can use this also for our users groups information to store centralized in a structure of directory, in a directory like structure. So we can configure this in our Linux system also. So now if we want to configure it in our Linux system, this LDAP server with the help of LDAP protocol. So what we need here? First, we need the packages which is we required to configure the server. So first, on server we need package name OpenLDAP server and OpenLDAP dev. These two packages we require to configure the LDAP server. We need one more tool, one more package. It is called migration tools. Now this package will give us a script. It will give us a scripts to migrate the users of Linux system to LDAP directory structure. That means if you see in Linux, we have a different type of directory, we have a different type of user storing information about the users. The way is different. In LDAP, it is a different way of storing users information. So it is totally different. So if we want our local Linux user can be stored in the active directory, in the LDAP server directory, then what we have to migrate them. We can do it manually or we can use the script to do it. So the easy way is to use a script to do. So we will use that script to transfer, migrate local users to the LDAP directory. So the first requirement is these packages to be installed. So first you can install with the RPM if you don't have an yum server, and if you have a yum server, then you can install it with the yum server. So let's see that first. Do I have this available in my machine? So let's check first. I have yum server, so I'll go with yum list open LDAP star. So I have some installed packages. I have installed package OpenLDAP. I have a package available OpenLDAP clients. So these are for clients. And for configuring the server, I need these two packages, OpenLDAP devel and server. So this is not installed. So I'm going to install these two packages and I'm going to run yum install. So it is going to be installed these two packages with one dependency. So I'll go with yes and it will install. Now the packages are installed. Okay, one more package I forgot, and that is migration 2. So I have to install this one also. Okay, now all the required packages are available. We have installed it, and now we are ready to configure the LDAP server. So first what we'll do here, so after installing the packages, first what we will do is to generate the root password for the LDAP server. Now remember, our password storing in Linux system is different. It is different than the other system. So LDAP uses a different style of password. So for that, first we will create the password for our root. So for generating the password for the LDAP, we will use this command slab passwd, and when we run this command, it will ask for the password, retype password, and when you give a password what you want, it will generate this hash. Now what we'll do, we will copy the hash, we will copy this hash and we will copy this hash and we will paste it in the other file. So first we will generate the password, and then after generating the password, when we get the password, we will copy the password, and then we will adding the admin and domain info into LDAP config database file. So after generating the password, we will add the information about the admin and the config for the LDAP in the database, domain and admin information in the config file of the config database file in the of the LDAP, and that is what it is under VIM. It is under etc open LDAP /d under cn. This is the path of the file, and this is the file hdb ldiff file. So we will open this file, and in this file we have to change the domain name. It will be a default name there, so we will change that name to our domain name. Whatever our domain name is, or we have decided to be whatever domain name we want to decide, so we will use that name, change those names, and then we will add new lines in that file about the root, about the administrator. So in this we are going to add the admin and domain information. So we change the domain name here, and then we add the admin information, and that is what the OLC root pw, and then here you will paste the password which we copied from the hash generated, and then we will mention these two certificate file path. Now these certificates have not been created till now. We will create these certificates also. So this will create these certificates will be used for the security. So we will create this certificate, but it is not been created, but we will create this with this path. So you make sure that whatever the name of the certificates you are giving, you have to create the same certificate after this, and then we will save it. So first let's do this first. So generate the password, copy the hash, and this in this database to database LD file we will add these information there. So for generating the password, the command is slab pass wd, and when you press enter it is asking the password for it. I will go with abc at 123, abc at 123, and this is the hash which I got. Now I have to use this hash in the database file of database file of LDAP. So I will copy this. Now I will open the file. Open LDAP. Not LDAP configure. SLD, and we have I will open this database file here. And now these configurations are there with the default name, default sample name. So I will change that domain name first. So the domain name is here. So you will check all the lines. Wherever you see the domain name, you will change the domain name. My domain name will be example.com. So I will change it here. So it goes like dc is equal to example and dc is equal to com. So if your domain name is different than the like example.net, so it will be dc, it will be dc is equal to example and dc is equal to net. Now my domain I will use this example.com. So here I will change it to, I will remove my domain and I will add example, dc is equal to example and dc is equal to com. And then in the next line also we have domain name here. So I will also change this to example.com. Then when you see the other lines, it is not there, these domain name is not there, so it is okay now. So what we have done, we have changed the default domain name there, my domain. So with the sample domain name we have changed it to our domain name example.com. Now I will create new lines here, and there I will paste the password. So I will use this password here, and I'm going to use it with these new settings, new lines. So I'm going to add the line for the root password, and also I'm going to line the lines for the certificates. So I added these lines here, OLC root password, and this is the hash which we have generated. And then I added these lines like OLC TLS pass certificate file, and the file will be generated under this location, etc pki TLS certs. In that location I will create the file example ldap.paint. Now this is what I am going to create it. It is not right now, it is not available there. And again the other certificate file, and this is also in the same location, and the name will be example ldap key pem. So certificate and certificate key, these two files I am going to create. So what we did in this file, we changed the domain name to the sample domain name to our domain name, and then we added these two lines, these three lines for the root password and also for the certificates. Then we will save this. Now what next we will do? Now after this we have saved the file, and now we will open the other file, database 1 monitor file, monitor.ld file. And now in this file also we will change the name of the domain. So by default there is a default domain name there, which is my domain. So we will change that name to our domain name. Our domain name is example.com. So we will change it to our domain name. Wherever we see that default sample domain name, we will change it, and then we will save it. This is we will do under the monitor.ld file. Now after doing this, we will check the settings what we have done. Slap test by using this command slap test u, and then after that we can start the service. So after doing this configuration, we can start the service. The service for the LDAP is slapd.service. We will start the service, we will enable it to make it default enable, and also we will check the status that everything is okay or not. So let's do this first. We will change this monitor.ld file, change the name of the domain, and then we will test our settings. So after monitoring this, changing this HBDLD file, we will change the monitor file, monitor.ld file. We open this. Now here also you will see the domain name here in this OLC access, and here you have these information, and with that information we have here a domain name, my domain. So I will change this to my domain, that is example.com, and anywhere else no. It is only in this file, in this line. So it is done now. So I save these two files, I change these two files. First I change this file, and what else it is saying here, if you see, it says do not edit, but we are editing it directly. It is auto generated by this command, or you can add it directly. So I have actually added directly. So okay, now we will check our settings by slap test command, slap test -u, and when we run this command it will check our setting in the configuration file, these two files. And now what it says here, config file testing is succeeded. There is one error it is showing to the both of the files. It is saying that checksum error on these files. Now why it is showing these error? Because it is saying that do not edit the file directly, but still the test is successful. It says that you should not edit the file, but we can edit the file directly, and the testing is successful. Now we can start the services. So systemctl status of slab D service. This is the service for the LDAP, and it is saying that it is not loaded, it is loaded but it is not running and it is disabled. So what we will do, we will start the service. And we will enable the service also. And then we can check the status. So it is now running and it is enabled also. Again, it is also here saying that checksum error, that it says that you should not edit the file directly, but the server is started. That means the services the configuration is okay. Now what we do next? Now after starting the services, we have to configure the database for our LDAP. So for configuring the database, what I will use is the sample of the database file. We have a sample file here under this location, USR share open LDAP servers dbconfig.sample file. So what I will do, I will use this sample file and I will copy the sample file into the location of this LDAP database file, which is under var lib LDAP, and the name of the file will be dbconfig. So for the configuration database, what we can do, we can even create the file directly or we can use the sample file. So I'm going to use this sample file from the USR share location, and I will copy this under this var lib LDAP directory where the database is located. And after doing this, we have to change the ownership and permission. We have to make this LDAP as the owner, because you know, when you are copying it by the root with the root user, so the file will be, the permission will be for the root. So we have to provide the permission to this LDAP user so that it can access the database of LDAP. So for running and accessing the files which is related to LDAP, we have a separate user LDAP and also the group. So we have to make sure that this group and user have appropriate permission on the files of this database directory. So what we'll do, we use this chown command for under this directory of database, and we will use the -r option that will do what? It will recursively change the ownership. That means under this directory, all the files and directories will be owned by this user and this group. So what we will do, we will copy the database for database sample file from USR share open LDAP, and we will paste it here var lib LDAP. So cp USR share open LDAP dbconfig sample file, and this will we will copy into var lib LDAP. And the name we will give is db config. We will remove this .example because it is an example file and we want to use it as a database. So we will remove .example, we will save it as a db config, and then we will paste, we will press enter and it is copied. Now the next thing is to change the ownership of all the files in the directory to LDAP user and LDAP group, and the files of var lib LDAP directory. This is the directory. Now we have a database file, and now we can create the configuration database of our LDAP. Now for creating the database, we will use this. For adding the LDAP schema, we will use this command LDAP add. This command we will use to create the schema of adding the schema of LDAP. Schema is the basic structure of the directory service. That means in that we have information about what we can create and what objects we can be added into this LDAP. So for that we will use command LDAP add y capital Y from the external source h, and this will be the location, this will be the header, LDAP I, and file will be used, and this is the file will be used to create the schema. This file is already there, it comes with the package, so we will use this file to create the schema of cosine and NIS, and also for inter-organization person. Okay, so let's do this now. Create the schema now first. So I'm using the command LDAP add -y external h. This is the path and this is the file I'm using. So cosine, it is added. The new entry is added into the database. Then I will use another file, NIS. Then I will use the other file, inter-organization person. Done. Now the schema for the LDAP is also created. Now next what we will do, we will create the certificates. We have added the link, added the name and the path of the certificate in that file, the database file, configuration database file, but we have not generated the certificate. So now we are going to generate the certificate for our LDAP, and for that we will use the OpenSSL command. OpenSSL command is used to generate certificates for other things also. We will use it to generate the LDAP for the LDAP for the certificate of LDAP. So we will use this command OpenSSL with the request of new certificate of X509, and this is for the nodes, and output of the certificate generated will go into this file. Now remember and make sure that you give a right path and the right name which you have mentioned on the file. So we have mentioned this name, exact name on the file, so we will use this. Then the key will go into this location with this name. So you have to make sure the name you have given into the file, the same name you will use here to generate the certificate. So we will create a self-signed certificate. Now we can use the certificate from the certificate authority servers. We have internet certification authority servers available. It will be more secure than the self-signed certificate. So if you have an option to get the certificate from the certification authorities, then that is the better idea. Or we can generate this local self-signed certificate. This is only for the local use, and this is not that secure, but still it will work for locally, because it stores the keys locally. That is why it is not secure. Now you will mention the days of certificate validation. So you can mention any days you want to use. I will use this 365 days for the year. So my certificates will be valid for the whole year. So let's generate the certificate first. So OpenSSL, this is the command I will use. This is the certificate. Certificate will be created, and here the key will be created, and this is the same name which I have mentioned in the file. So when you press enter, it is generating the certificate, and you have to provide some information like your country name in 2 letters, then your state and provision name. So I am providing the name, company, section of organization, and server name. Now whatever the information you give here, it is not that important. The important is the server name, your name or your server's host name. This is very important because you are creating the certificate for the server, so you have to mention the server name here. And remember, when you are mentioning names here, then your DNS server must be available. So the DNS server is also required for this all. So we will do what? We will mention our server name here. So you should have to properly mention the server name, exact server name. Email address, I will mention root user's email address here. And then done, the certificate is generated, and also the certificate is located under this path. We can verify under etc pki tls search directory, and we can see these are the certificates we have created. This is the certificate, and this is for key for the certificate. So the certificate is created, and remember these things, the names, country name, state, city, it's not that important. The important thing is this, to mention the host name properly. You can mention any names here, but you should all exactly mention the name of the server here, because this is the name for your certificate also. Okay, so certificate is generated, and the path and the name of the certificates and keys I have already mentioned on the file. Now next what we'll do here, we'll do here is to create the object database for LDAP server. Now we are going to create the objects. Create the objects, that means whatever object we have, like users, groups. So we have to create the object of the database of the objects. Now for that, what we will do, we will migrate the users from our local Linux system to the LDAP server. And for that we are going to use this script. The script which we have installed with the script which comes with the package migration tools. Now before using the script, what we have to do, we have to change some configuration in the script shell file, script file here under the migrate common ph. Now in this file we have to change some information, like we have to use our domain name here. So we have to change these lines 71, 74 and line number 90. In those it is defined the default mail domain, and here you will mention your domain name. It is having a different default name, so we have to change it to our own domain name. So when we use the script to change or migrate the database, then it will use this name of the domain. Then default base domain, you will mention DC, and you will mention the domain name here. Like example, our domain is example, so I will mention example.com. And what will be the schema version you want, extended schema, you will use 1, that is for enabling the schema, or no, 0 is to disable. So we will change only these 3 things here in this script file, and then when we use the script, then it will use the domain name, base domain name, and it will use extended schema also for this. So for using this domain in the script, with the script we have to change it here. So we have to change it under the USR share migration tools. The migration tool is coming here in this directory, and under that there is a script called migrate under common. So in this file we have to change it, these lines 71, 74 and 90. On these lines we will see these configurations. So let's change this first. So I will open this USR share migration tool common PH. Now in this, if I go directly to the line number 70, I will see this. This is the default DNS domain name. So we have to mention the DNS domain name here. You can see there is a default name there, which is padl.com. Now this is not my domain, so I will change it to my domain name. And my domain name is example.com, and remember it is asking for the DNS domain, so your DNS also must be configured to use this. So for LDAP server you need to have a DNS properly configured, because it is going to use this name as a DNS domain name. Then on line number 74 we have default base domain, so you will change this also to your domain name. My domain name is example, so I am changing it to example.com. Then on line number 91 we have option to enable the schema, extended schema. So it is disabled is 0, so I enable this one. It is to turn this on to support more general object classes such as person. So okay, we have done this changes and we will save this. Now one more thing we have to do before creating the script, before running the script. We have to create the base info file for our LDAP database. So first we have to create a file which will be used as a base for the LDAP database. And in this the file name will be base.ldif, and in that what we will use is this. The name could be any, you can use any name, but .ldif will be must. Now in that file we will mention these informations, these distinguished names, these attributes. These are like dn, dc is equal to example and .com, our domain name here. Then the class of the object will be top, then object class dc object, it is dc object, then object class organization, then organization example.com, dc will be, domain will be example. So this is what first object. Then make sure that you give a space, one line space in between these two information, otherwise it will give error when you try to load this file. So first object and then separated by the one line space, then you will mention the other object information. Other object is like cn is equal to manager, with under this dc is equal to example and dc is equal to com. Now this is your domain name, you will mention your domain name, and this will work as a cn, canonical name. Then object class is the organizational name. So here we are mentioning the organizational name for the object is manager, and the cn will be manager, and description is the directory manager. So this is going to be the directory manager, and this is the information for the directory manager. Then this is the OU. We are creating one OU, that is OU name is people, which is under the domain example.com. It is organizational unit. Then we are creating one more OU with the name of groups, with the name of group. It is also organizational unit, and this is also for group. This is the name for the OU, and then you will save this file. So we will add these, but make sure you have one line space in between, otherwise it will give error when you try to load this file with the script. So let's create this one also. So I will create the base file, and under root I will create base name, could be any, ldif is important, and in that I have added this information. So I have added the information for the objects classes here, first, second, third and fourth. Now remember to make sure that you have a space in between these information, and make sure that it has information of the space between this one line space, at least one line. You can have more space, but at least one line space you should give, otherwise it will not be separated. So when you run the script, it has to be separated. The script must know that these informations are separated. If you don't give a space in between, then it will consider the information same in a single information, and it will make a problem. So we have created this. Now I will save this. So now we have created the base file for the LDAP. So we have created the base file for the LDAP database, and now what we will do here, we will extract user and group info from our password and group file. Now in Linux, what we have user information in the passwd file and group information under the group file. Now what we will do, we will extract this information, like we will extract the information of users and group. Now we will not extract the default users and group information. Remember, in these files we have default system users and system groups also, but I don't want them. I want my normal users. I want my normal users information. So what I will do, I will extract the information about my normal users, not the system users. I can use this file directly for the script, but it is going to, if I use this, then it will do what? It will create the database for system users also, that which I don't want. I want to add only normal users information from passwd file and normal groups information from group file. So I will not use directly this system file. I will create new file with only the information about my normal users. So how I will do this? I will use grab command. Grab command will grab the lines within whatever the line number we mentioned. So what I am mentioning here, I am mentioning that grab the numbers, see 10, 10 will be constant, and after 10 it could be any number between 0 to 9, and then next it could be any number from 0 to 9. That means I am saying the numbers, if I say like this, let me example here. I am using grab and I am saying find the value, find the lines which starts from :10. So it will grab all the lines which starts from 10. Then next, for the next number, it could be 0 to 9. That means after 10 it could be 0 or 9, 0 to 9. Then let's say it is starting from 0. And for the next number, I am saying for the next number you should use from 0 to 9. That means for the next number it should be 0 to 9. That means if you say start with 0, then it will start with here. So what it is going to do, it is going to grab all the lines which starts from this number. And what is this number? It is 1000. And if it is, and it goes till what? It goes till 10 and it says 9. So 0 to 9 and then 0 to 9. So it will grab all the numbers between 1000 to 1099. Now remember, our normal users, when we add normal users, their UIDs and GIDs will start from 1000 and it will go till 60,000. So 99 is enough. If you want more, then you can add more. You can add here also 0 to 9. So if you like to have all the users, then you can add here also 0 to 9. So what I am doing here, I am actually grabbing the information of the users, like the lines from 1000 to 1099. And now what it will do, it will grab these lines from this file and it will redirect these lines into this new file. So this is the new file it will create, and it will have the information about our new users or normal users. Same I am doing with this group file also. So it will grab the GID from 1000 to 1099, and it will store the information into this file. So let's do this first, then we will go ahead. So if we check what information of users I have in the passwd file, so you can see normal users starts from 1000, and we have these users from 1000 to 1004, then 1005, 6, 7. So we have these users, and we have these users information. And I'm not using directly this file because it also has the system users, and that user should not be logging to any terminal. So we should not use these normal users database in our LDAP database. So what I will do, I will use grab command, and I'm going to grab the lines of 1000 from this file. I will show you when I press enter what happens. You can see it is grabbing all these lines which is starting from 1000, and it will end on 1099, but there is no 99 users I have users till only 1007. So it is only showing these lines. So what I will do here, I will redirect this output to another file. I will put it into my normal my home directory, and the file name I will use same. So now what it did, it redirect the information about the normal users after 1000 UID, and it created this file under this directory, and in this it has all the information about new normal users. So we can check, this is the file is created, and it has all the information about normal users we have. I will do it same thing for group file also. So if I do it for the group file, now it shows information about groups. So I will redirect this also to the new file group. So now I have extracted the information about normal users and normal groups, and now I will use a script for this on this to create these and to migrate it into our LDAP database. Now we will convert users and groups info in LDAP style. So before adding these files, adding these information, users information into our LDAP database, we have to convert them into LDAP style. LDAP style is like this. If you see this, our LDAP accept the users and groups informations like DN is equal to this, DC is equal to this, object class is equal to this, CN, description, OU. So it goes like this. Now what we have in our Linux system, it is not like that. In password file we don't have any information like this. So that is why we use this migration tool. So we will use this migration tool to generate, or we can say convert these users and group information to LDAP style. So this thing we can do it manually also. We can create the manually object attributes like this, or we can use this script. So we will use this script to convert the normal user information of the Linux into LDAP user information. So we will use this script from this USR share migration tools. There is a script migrate passwd pl, which will use to migrate the password file. And remember, we have added already the domain information in this other script of migration tool. So it is going to use that domain name for these users, because in passwd file there is no information about domain. In passwd file of Linux, what we have username, we have UID, GID, home directory, description, then we have shell. So we have only these information in passwd file. We don't have domain information. So for that we have already added the domain information in the script of migration tool, and now we will use this script of migration tool to convert this user information which we have extracted previously to create a new file, a new LDIF file. So this LDIF file we will use to add the user information into our database. So what we will do here, we will convert this normal users of Linux information into LDAP user information, and for that we will use this script. So as you see, the file which we have generated, this one is the style of Linux. That means it is having information about users in a style of Linux. It is Linux style, but LDAP style is different. You have seen it in Windows Active Directory also. So it is a different style storing the information about objects. Now here if you see, there is no domain name mentioned, and that is why we have already mentioned the domain name in that script previously. So what we will do, we will use the script under USR share migration tool, and then here I will use migrate passwd pl. It's a Perl script, that is why it is having an extension of .perl. And now how you will run the script? By giving the absolute path. So I have mentioned the absolute path, and the file name I will mention, that is this file which I have created in this root directory. And what I will do, I will using this, I will create new file, new LDIF file. So output will go to this new LDIF file, and here I will mention users.ldif. So in this we will have users information. Now it is created. Now when you check our normal information of users in Linux, so it looks like this. And when you see the normal information of LDIF users, LDAP users, then it looks like this. So LDAP accepts user informations like this. And what it is like DN, and you can see here distinguished name, UID is this, pupil is the OU, domain name is the DC domain, dcexample.dc.com, dc is equal to com. This is the UID, canonical names, SN, email address, and see it is using this domain name here. Organization, object class is person, organization person, and the password is also created, and it has used the shadow file to create the password. And the password is also in a different style. It's a style of LDAP. And then this is the minimum maximum password age it has taken from the shadow file, login shell, UID, GID, home directory, and this is the name. Then it is for the other user 1, then you have information of user 2. So this is the style of LDAP, user data and user information. Now if you know all these keywords and object and the names, these keywords and the values of those keywords, then you can create manually also, or you can use the script. So we did it for the user information. Now we will do it for the group also. So we have also extracted the group. So we will also use the script to generate the group information, and we will use group.pl, and the file name is group, and new file I will create. I will use the same name, group.ldif, and done. And this will be the information of group, and it stores the information about group like this. So now we have converted the user information into LDAP style. Now what we can do, we can add those users information into our LDAP server database. So after this, we can import users and groups info into our LDAP database. Now for importing, again we will use LDAP add command. LDAP add extended with the D option, WD, and this is the name will be, and this is for the base. We have created the base file. We have already created the base file, and this base file is for the manager, role manager. So we will use this CN. It is the manager CN, which is the database manager, our LDAP manager. And then with the help of the same manager, I will import the user information and group information in our LDAP database. So it is going to be into our database, and for that we will use this LDAP add command. So let's add this. So first I will add the base file. It is asking the password. Now remember the password which we have created, or we have generated, the hash, and we have mentioned on that file, database manager file, and the password is abc@123. So you have to provide that password. And now it has been added. Now I will add information about users, abc@123, and now these entries are also added. These users entry, user 1 2 3 4. Now I will add the information about the group, and I will use the file group ldif, which I have created last time. And remember, it is asking the password of LDAP. It is not asking local root user's password. It is the password which we have created the hash on the first step. Now the information of the user groups is also added. So it is asking the password which we have generated on the first step, and then we have pasted that into database file with this manager information. Now we have imported the user information, group information, base information, now all set, and now our LDAP server can work. And now what we will do, now first we will verify the configuration by searching the user information by using this LDAP search command. We can use this command to search any user information, like which user you want to search, and the domain name. So it will give you the information about that user, and you can search the information about the objects with this object class star. It will show you all the information about all the objects. So we can do this, or we can do this also. So let's search this first. Let's check our server is working or not. So I'm going to search the user 1, and it is showing me the result about user 1. So it is saying this is the extended LDIF, LDAP version is 3, base is this, with the scope subtree, filter is user 1, we have used the filter user 1, and request for the all object. And what it has shown here about information, that this is the user and this is the information about the user. This is the total information. Now this is the total information and it is giving the result. That means there is our LDAP configuration is okay. Or we can search the all objects also. It's a small mistake. We check what's wrong here. So now it is showing all the objects. It was a space here. So now it is showing all the objects within this domain. I have set all the object classes. I set a star here, but if you want to see a special object class, then you can mention the object class, like object class organization, object class top, or you can go for object class OU, organizational unit. Whatever object class you want, you can just put their object class there, and it will show you only the information about those object classes. Now it is showing the information. That means our server is working. It is giving responses with our request. So when we request for anything, it is responding it. That means our server is working. Now next, what we will do, we will configure our LDAP client. Now for configuring the LDAP client, we need these two packages available. First we need LDAP Open LDAP clients package and NSS Palm LDAP D package to be installed on our client system. After that, we can use these two tools. We can configure the client by using the LDAP server, and we can use this by these two ways. Either we can use authconfig TUI for the text user interface, or we can use authconfig GTK for graphical interface. Now remember, GTK, this authconfig GTK is mostly not installed by default. So if it is not working, then you have to install it first. The package name for authconfig is also authconfig-GTK. So you have to install this package, and then you can use this graphical version also. So first let's check the packages there. Open LDAP client and NSS PAM LDAP D. So we will go to the client. And we will list Open LDAP client package. My spelling mistake. I will go for start. Okay, it was clients. Okay, so it is installed, available. It is already installed. So I don't need to install it. If it was not there, then I have to install it. The other package which I need is NSS Palm LDAP D, and it is available, it is not installed. So I will install this. So first check the packages which is needed, and if it is not there, then install it. So Open LDAP client is already installed. This one is not installed, so I am going to install this. Now the package is installed. Now we are ready to make this Linux machine as a client. So one more thing, if the firewall is running, then we should enable the LDAP from that firewall also. So I'm adding permanent service LDAP, and also we have LDAP as for secure. So if you are using LDAP secure, then you should enable this also. And then firewall CMD reload. Okay, now we can make our client, we can make that machine our client. So first, if we want to make the client by using authconfig TUI, then we will run the command authconfig TUI from the command prompt. And when we run, then it will open authentication configuration window here. Now here we will select use LDAP, because we want to use LDAP, so we will select use LDAP, and then we will press next. And next we will provide the IP address, and we will provide the name or IP address of the LDAP server, and then we will provide the base distinguished name for the domain also, that is DC is equal to example and DC is equal to com, and then we will press OK, and it will do what? It will create our server, this machine as a client. Or if we want to use it as a graphical, then we can use authconfig GTK, and this one is not installed by default. So if it is not installed, then you have to install it first, and when you run this command, then you will see this graphical window. Now here you have to select user account database as a LDAP, then you will mention the base DN, that is your domain name, that is DC is equal to example, DC is equal to com, and then LDAP server name and IP address, name or IP address. And then here you can use LDAP password. This is what normal password authentication. Here also we can use what? Here also we can use this Kerberos authentication. So if you want to use Kerberos authentication, then you can select Kerberos from here. Now before selecting the Kerberos, you have to have the Kerberos configured first. You have to configure the Kerberos server, then you can use this Kerberos authentication. Then after configuring the client, if you want to see the client user information, then you can use this command to check get ent passwd and the username. And if your client is properly configured and the server is properly configured, then you will see the user information about this user. And when it shows the information, that means your client and server is properly configured, then you can log in with your server, log in with your user account, and you can log into the server. Okay, so I'll go to the client machine. The packages are installed. I will use authconfig TUI, and when I run this, it shows like this. And here we can go to LDAP and press spacebar to select, and then we go to next, press enter. Now here you have to mention the LDAP server password or LDAP server name, or you can mention the IP address. So I am going to mention the IP address, that is 192.168.1.12. Now if you want to use TLS security, that means secure LDAP, then you can check this also, and for that you need to have a certificates, and if you have a certificate generated, then you can use it. Otherwise you can go for the normal plain authentication. First you have to go for the plain authentication, and then you will mention the domain name. It is already there, example.com, because our DNS domain name is also same, and this machine is also under the DNS domain, so it is using the same domain name. Then I will go and press OK. And you can see there is no error. So if it is no error there, that means our configuration is okay and it is configured as a client. Even you can use the graphical also. So if you want to use graphical, then you have to install it first. Auth config gtk. I have already installed, so basically it is not installed, and if it is not installed, then you have to install it. You can see the package name is also auth config gtk, and it is already installed, and because of that I have this command. When I run this command, I see this window here, and here I can see user account as LDAP. You have others, then you will mention the search DN, base DN, that is example.com, and then server, and then server IP, and you will mention the name and IP like LDAP : and then the IP or name. And I have not used the TLS, so if you use the TLS, then you have to download the certificate, and you have to make sure the path, you have to give the path for the certificate to download from the certification authority. But we are not using it, we are using self-signed certificate, so I will not use this. Then the password authentication configuration, we can use Kerberos password, but if you use Kerberos, then you have to first configure the Kerberos server first. Kerberos server, KDC, and admin server, and whatever, you have to mention all these informations. But we don't have configured the Kerberos, so we'll use normal LDAP password. And apply. So that is what we have already configured. So either you can configure it from here, or you can configure it from here. Now we can check by using get end command. So get end, we are getting the entry from the passwd file for this user, and you can see it is showing you the information about that user, user 1, and then again UID, GID, description, home directory, shell, and it is showing this information. That means everything is okay and it is working. Now we can log into the users of LDAP server here. We can check user 2 information, we can check user 3 information. So everything is working properly, it is giving responses. So that means this client, on this client, these LDAP users can log in. Now to log in the LDAP user, we can use switch command, switch user, user 2, and when we run enter, it is logged in. Now it is giving an error about the home directory. It is giving error about the home directory, that home directory is not accessible, because again the home directory is set to be, if you see the information about the user, it says the home directory must be under /home, but if you check under the /home directory, here there is no home directory for these users. Why? Because it is on server, it is not on this client. So what we do, we share the home directory from the server and we mount it here on this local home directory. So what we'll do, we will share the home directory from the server. Now how we will share? We will share it by using the NFS. So what we will do, we will go to export FS file, and we can share the home directory. And update the export FS by using -r, and then when we check, now it shows that home directory is also shared. And then we will mount the home directory here. Onto our local home directory. Now when we check, now we see all the home directories of users, and now when we switch the user, we will not see any error. So there is no error for home directory, and our users can log in, and it can log in through the LDAP server. So LDAP server is now working properly, and it is allowing those users, it is authenticating those users, and those users can log into this client machine. Now one more thing, when we mount this home directory of this server into our local machine, then what happen, our local users home directory will disappear. That means right now when we check this, it shows only the users home directory of server. It is not showing the local users home directory. So if I unmount it, then when you list, you'll see the local users home directory. So if you want to have both local and the remote user information here in this home directory, then you can use AutoFS. AutoFS will do what? It will mount the home directory of the users when it requires, and when it don't require, it will not mount. So we can use AutoFS feature to mount these home directories of users. We can use it, we can mount it on demand. And we have seen it already how we can do that. So if you like to do this AutoFS, then first you need to have a package installed, that is AutoFS, and it is installed. Then what you have to do, you have to create first the map file, under this directory, and the name could be any, but the extension must be AutoFS. Like I have already this NFS, so I will use this file, and this time I will use mounting for home directory, and the information about this home directory mount will be under this file. Now this files must start with the auto.anything, and this file is also you have to create. So it is already created, so I will use the same file. And in this file you will mention the username here. The home directory will be mounted for the user 1, let's say. Then options, and then the location of that directory. So it is going to be mounted from the home directory from the server for user 1, and it is going to mount on this user 1. And then I will restart the AutoFS service. And we will check the service first. So status is okay. Now when we check home directory, it is not showing anything. Now when we switch the user, it will mount the directory which is required. So you see, when I mount with user 1, so it is automatically mounted the directory and there is no error. So it is actually automatically mounted the directory for user 1. And you can see it is now showing the user 1 directory. But I have not made it for user 2, 3 or other directories, other users. So when those users logs in, they will not get the home directory. They are not getting the home directory because I have not created AutoFS for those users. So if we want, then we have to create for those users also in this file. Like the user 1, we will create the other user information also. So those users, when they log in, they will get the home directory, and those don't have the information, they will not get the home directory. So this is how you can create AutoFS on demand mounting. So when they need it, they will get the home directory. When they don't need, they will not get. And this is what LDAP server. So this is our LDAP server, and this is how we can configure the LDAP server. We can migrate the user information from Linux to LDAP database, and we can create the client, and also we can use AutoFS for the home directory of users to mount these users home directory automatically on demand.